Okay, good evening, councillors, and welcome to tonight's full council meeting. Agenda item 1 is apologies.
Apologies have been received from Councillor Kay Abbott, Councillor Beavis Morrissey, Councillor Southwell, Councillor Carol Stevens, Councillor Tammy Stevens.
Thank you very much. Agenda item 2 then, declarations of interest. Is there any declarations to be made? Thank you. Agenda item 3, question and answer session with members of the public. Madam Clerk? None received. Agenda item 4, news from the Mayor. Just a reminder that it's my civic service on Saturday at 5 o'clock at St Catherine's for those that are able to make it. And I also have received a letter from the museum that they've asked me to read out. So, dear Town Councillors, the trustees at Milford Museum would like to thank the Town Council for the grant of £7,500. This money will make a big difference to the museum. The Mayor kindly presented the cheque on Tuesday and we published it on our Facebook page. It has then been published on the Town Council Facebook page. For information, we've already welcomed 362 school children to the museum over the last 4 months. With the grant, we intend to be able to offer more free places in the next school terms. We have booked 2 dates with the Sea Cadets and 4 days with Jenny, a lady that does craft making, to provide activities over the school holidays. Unfortunately, we've just been told that one of the actors that was going to do the outside pop-up theatre is now not available in August. We are now in talks with Rachel from the Art Gallery in the Marina, and we are hoping to work together with them to provide some form of activity to take the place of the pop-up. Many thanks from the Chairman, Councillor Colin Sharp. Otherwise, that's it from me. Agenda item 5, then, the Mayor's engagements, which have been shared with you today. Unless there's any questions, I'll move receipt on that. Agenda item 6, council engagements and community activities. I don't think any was received.
Nothing, no.
Thank you. Agenda item 7, then, feedback from councillor representation on outside bodies verbal update. Has anyone got anything they'd like to share based on outside representation? Thank you. Agenda item 8, questions without debate pursuant to standing order number 6.
Nothing.
Nothing received. Okay. Agenda item 9, minutes of the meeting of the full council held on the 7th of July 2025. We have a seconder?
Second.
All those in favour? Thank you. And agenda item 10, then, the estates group meeting held on the 10th of July 2025. I'll go page by page. We've got page 36 and page 37. Councillor Sharp?
Right. Sorry,
Would like to move receipt then, unless there's any question? Oh, yeah.
We recommend that we bring the full council a decision on what we're going to do regarding their home.
Yeah.
And to discuss with the Sea Cadets about staying here and on a monthly bye-bye contract or 6 months.
Yeah, so the recommendation is that we request the use of this meeting venue until the end of this financial year, 31st of March 26. And that from September, the estates group meet again, discuss any commercial property for rent or properties available through PCC. So they're the 2 recommendations from the group. One thing that we were particularly conscious of is we keep moving it down without any real any discussion on potential properties that we could look at in the future. Hence why we've insisted a meeting in September to continue that discussion. Any further comments or questions? Otherwise, would someone like to move receipt? Okay. Do a seconder? Yeah, and all those in favour? Thank you very much. Agenda item 11 then, draft minutes of the meeting of the Library Partnership Group involving representatives from Pembrokeshire County Council and the Port of Milford Haven, held on the 1st of July 2025. Please see attached. Councillor Jones? Yeah. Yeah, of course you can. Yes. It's a very good question. We weren't sure. Yeah, so it was a suggestion by one of the employees of the library, I think. For the next library partnership group meeting, which I think is in September, I can't remember the date off the top of my head, they're going to come back with some information around the possible exploring of the Seafarer Centre and the one across the road, then the Unite building. So as far as I'm aware, they're both available for sale, but I don't know what the plan is. Yeah. 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 So other than we've it's been flagged as a potential vacant property to explore. That's all the information that we've got at the moment. Any further comments or questions? Councillor Gray?
Comment that I do feel that a library group,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call them, being very persuasive of getting us to make a decision, and personally, I don't feel that that is one of our priorities. Like us looking after them.
In what way, sorry?
Well, they're very forwarding and making sure that Milford Town Council is taking charge of finding a solution. And I think it should be them finding a solution and asking us to come on board. To me, it seems it's the other way around.
I mean, I would disagree with that in the fact that we're not fact finding on those two venues. For example, the employee brought it to the group, of which we are a third of which that meeting I was the only town council representative. There was one or two members that sent apologies. The rest didn't turn up or send apologies. And I can assure you that neither Fiona or I came away with actions to look at those facilities because it is very much a Pembrokeshire County Council decision to make. So they're exploring that. But as part of that ongoing commitment that we made, you know, with the Port Authority and Pembrokeshire County Council, we are playing a key part in discussions about ways forward, which is why we're at the table. But we're not making those decisions for them.
Am I right to say no in precept, we put money aside to make sure that?
No, we for this financial year, we took money from reserves because we'd already precepted. We haven't made any decisions on this future precept. Yeah. Our only commitment is that we will explore and then report back. Councillor Sharp?
I actually think it is important that we are partly involved in it, even if we are not making major decisions, but we need to be aware of what's going along as each stage happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we are a big part of that decision at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I personally don't want it dropped on me at the last minute that a decision's been made that we haven't had any input into.
Yeah.
And so I think it's very important to stay involved in it.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. I think that just to also add that I think the only real bits that we are, as the town council in this group, are taking the lead on is the terms of reference state that the mayor will chair the group, which obviously currently is myself. So, and I'm content for that to happen. Whether the future mayors would want that, I don't know. And that we provide some of the admin support in terms of minutes. So the secretary is content to continue that. Otherwise, you know, the rest of the legwork, particularly around buildings, would have to be done by PCC because they know what's required of the library.
So another meeting on the 3rd of September, is that?
3rd, yeah. I knew that I could
be back in office then.
Yeah. Any other comments or questions? Otherwise,
If there are other questions, move receipt and
we have a seconder. Thank you. All those in favour? Thank you very much. Agenda item 12 then is the draft calendar of meetings, January to December 2026. Whilst we're about to approve them potentially, I'd obviously just pay reference to the next agenda items agenda item that might change the day or time slightly, but in principle, they're the next year's worth of dates. Mr. Sharp, did you have your hand in then?
It was just to see where, because it does ask us to
Yeah,
actually.
you probably should have put them the other way around.
That
Yeah.
date and time.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Unless there's any glaring mistakes. Oh, Councillor Bridges. Well, I'll come up with that in the next, but equally, I'm happy to take agenda item 13 first if you would prefer, because it would make sense and before we agree. So in light of that, actually, we'll do agenda item 13 first, which is the 12 council meetings discussion. So you'll see the report from the clerk that most councillors that responded have stated that they would prefer a Monday evening, but with a preference of a 6 or 6:30 p.m. start to the meeting. So I guess the question is, what would you like to do in terms of our meetings? So Monday is the preference. Would you like to change the time?
I'll be happy. I'm all in favour of 1800 hours myself.
Making
At 1800 hours.
6 p.m. Yeah, Mr. Deputy Mayor.
I'd be 1830.
Oh,
Can I make a suggestion, Mr. Mayor, if I may be so bold?
yeah.
Could we have like a show of hands for those wanting 1800 or 6 o'clock, those that want to show for 6:30 hands, and then have like a vote on it?
You certainly can. Councillor Sinnott.
Voting.
Or can it be at the start of the meeting?
They've always been before, but it's not
Yeah.
reason why they are.
Okay, so just clarifying with the clerk then. So if it was 6 p.m, for example, that would be the start of the meeting. But one thing that isn't clear in our rules, other than traditionally this is how we've done it, that doesn't mean that our meeting. So if we had a guest come present, for example, that could be 6 o'clock, and once they finish, we continue with the meeting. That could be included in the start time. Just traditionally, we've always had them prior to full council, and I guess that's because it's 7 p.m. start. I'm just asking Lloyd to go and tell them to stop revving. I think it's next door. Sorry. It's downstairs. So no earlier than. Yeah, Councillor Davis.
I just abstain from the vote because it makes no difference to me anyway, 6 or 6:30.
Yeah, Councillor Gray.
That's what the preference for the staff were.
Madam Clerk.
Makes a difference, doesn't matter.
Okay, so just to help with our understanding then, and this isn't committing us to either, who prefers a 6 p.m. start of a meeting? Okay. Who prefers a 6:30 start? And who would prefer to stay at 7? Okay, so it looks like 6 p.m. is the bulk of the preference. So who would like to make the recommendation then that is 6 o'clock?
I would, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Sharp.
And I'd like to recommend that the meetings,
No earlier.
when would we be starting this? From the new calendar dates here?
September, I guess.
September.
From September, right, okay then, so from September, that our meetings start at 6 p.m. Should there be any guests that wish to speak, or any part of the community that wish to come and speak, they can be invited to come at the start of the meeting at 6 p.m. and then we carry on the meeting once they've done their presentation or their say.
We have a seconder for that? All those in favour? Okay. Anyone against or abstaining? So with that in mind then, agenda item 12, so we're going back to the original draft calendar of meetings, January to December 26th, where it mentions 7 p.m. That will now reflect 6 p.m. for future meetings. I have someone move to see unless there's any changes. Sorry, Councillor Jones. It is a democracy, so it's been voted in favour, but based on bulk. Councillor Abbott will have to decide if he can or can't make them and make a decision from that. So, unless there's any changes to the dates or any obvious bank holidays or school holidays perhaps in the way, can someone make a move receipt? Okay, a seconder? And all those in favour? Agenda item 14 then, the Christmas lights contractor. Please see your attached report. Yeah, I guess for the clock to move forward, we just need agreement that it does sit slightly outside the standing orders requirement of going to tender because it's under £25,000. It's sitting at £9,000. Therefore, we need agreement. Yeah, Councillor Hartnell.
The items that like to come on in one of the funds, maybe it would be worth getting anything just to see if there's anything that's more economical or friendly or that's depending on the long time to stick with the same.
Light purchase got nothing to do with the contractor. We do the lights separately. It's just the contractor now to put the lights up and take them down again.
Okay, I don't know if you heard that, but so this isn't for the contract for lights, it's for the contractor to come in and install them because we've purchased the lights already. So this is purely that it's purely for the electrician essentially. Councillor Gray.
Know what work Barry does for us. And where we are, it's very hard to get anybody local to cover and do what Barry will do.
Yeah.
And he does all call outs if it break down on Christmas Day or bottom. He will come out, never charges us for that. Plus he's always stores everything for us, which is another cost that we don't pay him for. And he does all the maintenance as well. So we do save a lot of money. And I think it would be very hard because we are isolated to get somebody of his quality to come and do what he does outside of Pembrokeshire.
Mr. Deputy Mayor.
I beg from what I'm saying, Barry also does have the West Link, doesn't he? The lights there.
No,
Oh, he doesn't.
he doesn't,
I beg your
no.
pardon. Okay. I was just going to say, we've used Barry for a number of years. He's always been very, very good to us. Personally, I'm happy to stay with Barry, Ms. Jones, but perhaps this is something which we should actually put on the agenda each year to confirm that we are prepared to stay with Barry every year and we don't want to get new quotes in, or it gives us then the option to get new quotes should we so decide.
Councillor Bridges.
£1,000 a year store. Is pretty for installation of actually supplying funds. It's pretty level, I think, for the people who live and the life who are completely in. But having done something for 10 years does not necessarily mean it's the best value for money motivation for it. So I would advocate that even though it's below the threshold for, and it would be best practice of us to at least show that we are getting value for money, just doesn't mean there isn't a better option. I think we equally good or not better than John. I mentioned that the value is still the best option, but I still do it with wild support.
Councillor Jones.
The cost to other councils for their lights to gauge whether we are paying over the odds or reasonable or average or something. Someone who's how many like the comparable, you know, the amount.
I've spoken to Haverford West and they pay over 25,000 a year.
Covering a larger area.
They have more light, far more light displays, and of course they got the shops area as well as the main street that they cover too. They have Barry.
Barry's doing this
Yes.
as well.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what their costs are, no. We'll find out.
I'm just thinking, funny, if you compare and see that those are comparative to know whether it's worth possibly ending up paying a hell of a lot more. Or do you know what I mean? It would be an idea to see where we are in comparison to others. Then
Councillor Sharp.
I actually quite agree with what Councillor Bridges is saying. And I do think it would be due diligence for us to perhaps ask other local vendors, the other local suppliers may, you know, be a bit peeved why they haven't been asked. But what I think is very important, as Councillor Bray does say, is it's not just, Barry doesn't just, Jones, sorry, doesn't just do the installation. He does the storing and things like that. And although I do agree that Councillor Bridges about people like John Morley and things like that, I wonder if he's got the room, places to store everything and things like that. So I do agree with Councillor Bridges that it would be due diligence to ask other people.
So I just want to clarify though, what the report is asking is that council agree that for the Christmas lights contract for the next financial year, that the clerk can gain 3 quotes rather than 3 tenders, which are slightly different. Member of the public join in. So the idea is the clerk would have the necessary quotes and information for November ready for our preset meeting in January. So it doesn't actually affect any Christmas lights activity for this year, but would be for the next financial year. Councillor Bridges.
Yeah. Actually, you said that we would ask them to store what exactly.
Yes.
Now.
Yeah. It would need to be like for like.
So we might be using a service and stuff. But I think the book really is being used also. I mean, I think that would be, you know, an idea too. And it might be like what you said, Barry, because Mr. Jones comes in with the best quotes.
Yeah.
But at least we can say that we have source.
Councillor Sinnott? Yeah. Yeah, it needs to be like for what we're currently getting, yeah. On call. Mr. Deputy Mayor.
Can I suggest perhaps we contact PCC to find out what requirements they have? Having looked through just briefly then, they seem to be after certain specific certificates and licenses and things. So it's probably worth checking with PCC what regulations they have. Because again, we can put that into the tender document then.
Mr. Jones deals with them on a regular basis. He's got so many qualifications.
I know he does. That's precisely what I'm saying.
Yeah, specifically for the installations and the lights and everything else, and the lampposts and things. So yeah, he deals with them. So I could get a name from Mr. Jones, but he has offered to go through the whole process with me anyway.
Madam Clerk, is there a time requirement over how long we ask for quotes to be received?
Well, ideally, I'd need everything by November for the precept.
But does it need to be 30 days, for example, out, or?
I'll have to look. I don't know offhand.
Okay. The reason I ask that is I think based on the various bits we're hearing, liaison with county council over what qualifications are required, what our actual requirements are, it may be prudent to defer this back to public events for the first initial bit of this is everything we require, and it'll come back to us in September for ratification, and then that would give us end of September till November to get those quotes. I think. Yeah, Councillor Gray.
Yeah, but we're covered for this year.
Yeah.
25, 20.
24, 20,
24, 25.
yeah.
So we're looking at 26, 27.
Yeah. Okay, so obviously I've made the proposition then or recommendation that we defer to public events to explore what it is we actually require, and they meet in time to give us that information for one of our September full councils. And in that time, the clerk will also liaise with Pembrokeshire County Council over qualifications or licenses required, because they may also hold a list of local contractors that we can approach. So that's the recommendation. Is there any amendments? We've got a seconder. So all those in favour? Okay, thank you very much. Agenda item 15, VJ Day 80, 15th of August 2025, verbal update.
Canon John Cecil will take the service at the church that day at midday, I believe. Right, we're working with the Royal British Legion. St Catherine and Peter's Church is in contact with the church service, and Canon John Cecil will take that. The town band has been contacted. Sean has responded to say that any concert would have to take place in early evening because of the band's work commitments, and St Catherine's Church Hall is available in inclement weather.
Councillor Gray?
Is this a national day? Right.
Yes, and it's obviously a national remembrance in terms of VJ Day, but there's no light and beacon, etc. insistent.
For not nationwide.
Yeah.
Most of it is. However, I would acknowledge at this point, I'm not actually personally available. I'll be in Ireland on that date. So the mayor won't be available to support, sadly.
Date on them.
Yeah.
Should be possible.
Yeah, and the deputy mayor will be out of action, obviously.
Oh,
If it was the day before, I could be there because I leave early hours Friday morning. So it is open for discussion. We'll go back to the Legion over it because they aren't aware that the mayor's not available. But yeah, it is one of those things. I think as a minimum, though, they've asked for support with a church service, which obviously Canon Cecil has agreed to lead because Father Andrew is also not available. and the band have offered a concert, but it would have to be in the evening. But at this time, I guess it's more for information. There's not a great deal that we are leaning in on, but we just wanted to make sure that it was remembered. Any other questions or comments? We'll move a seat on that. Agenda item 16 then, the RAF paddling pool verbal update. Who's giving the verbal update? Oh, Councillor Abbott, are you giving us a verbal update on the paddling pool?
Yeah.
It's open. Perfect. Oh, it's closed. Okay. Oh, tonight. All right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Councillor Shaw?
Thank you. Can I just ask, I hope this is relevant, and forgive me if it has been done, because I was walking the dogs the other day and somebody bumped into me. There's lovely signs about the do's and don'ts, but is there a way we can put a sign of rough opening hours on there? Because not everybody goes or knows if you're visiting a place. Somebody asked me the other day what time it was actually open to and from, and I said, well, if you go on our Facebook page, it might be on there. But they happen to be literally driving along the rack at the time. Is there opening hours on there now?
Is it?
Depends on the weather as well, doesn't it?
Yeah,
It's,
it's not there. No, it wasn't on there when I took the dogs from all past there the other day. Somebody stopped me.
I thought you meant put it on the gate.
Right, it's nowhere there that says when it's open to and
No.
from type thing.
It's obviously weather dependent, but we probably should have some loose times. Can we do a sign? Yeah, okay. The clerk will take that away and organise a sign, because I think even if it has weather dependent on it, at least there's some loose ideas of time. The other question that we've received from a member of the public actually is would the council consider opening the pool for quiet sessions for children with additional needs? Councillor Jones? You sure she's your daughter?
Can be.
I'm only teasing. I'm teasing.
Have no problem if they want to say 1 or 2 nights, as long as the weather is nice and it's been nice for the neighbours. You know what I mean? Like I said, if I take Cara down at 6 o'clock, she wants to get to the water, they open until she wants to get out. I've got no problem with doing that, putting everybody out apart from those that are on the list, quiet.
Councillor Gray?
Can't we put a sign up and use the social media to highlight in advance that today, whatever day it is from 6 to whatever, will be only for that particular group.
Well, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Councillor Hartwell?
I really like that idea. If there were an opportunity, some children on the spectrum, and obviously with the spectrum, income on the price times, would be morning and not evening. So is there an option to do like a morning and an evening, so you encompass both? I'm there in the evening. It would need somebody to be there, yeah, I think we're morning kind of the that I don't say it until, so I can make sure that is happening. So, there's not a bunch of teenagers coming in and causing havoc, you know what I mean? I can do that, I can't do that at 10 o'clock in the morning.
But I think in principle, we're saying it's absolutely something we can do.
Yeah.
So could I ask Councillor Abbott and Councillor Jones to liaise with the clerk and or secretary over what's in the art of the possible and advertise as required, utilising posters, social media, etc. Yeah.
We could just to emphasise basically what Councillor Gray was saying there, if the posting was put there and said opening times are from 10 till 8, weather permitting, but please check our social medias and actually put the social media address on there, because this person was visiting Milford that spoke to me and didn't know what they should be looking at anyway.
Yeah, that's fair.
So if we
Good
could
point.
add that to a poster, because then that covers us, should it not be open, as long as we put something on our Facebook page, for example, unfortunately we can't open today.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
Councillor Gray?
I'm going to put something forward for the end of the season. For, I think it's 10 million on, they do bring your dog at the end of the season. Obviously, they do it in sessions because you've got different sized dogs. So like, so you say 10 to 11, you have small dogs. She would love it.
Mine too would love it if it was private.
But a lot of people have said, can we have, at the end of the season, when it doesn't matter if the water's gonna get deep, it's the end of the season, nobody else is gonna go in after, have it open for doggy day time. For the water.
Are you going to scoop it?
I have no idea.
Are you going to scoop it?
Oh, no, you know, if you do it, you do it, you do that, I don't have no problem telling them. This is just, we've been asked, can we have a doggy at the end of the season?
Maybe do doggy paddling?
Yeah.
Pan pool group, do we?
Yeah.
Probably do stand. I don't know. Where would we actually stand on as
A lot of people take the dogs down to
policing
the
it,
beach.
etc.
To the beach.
I remember councillor there.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know.
half hour for the ones and then the next size and the next size, so.
Okay, I mean, I'm not necessarily as supportive on that, and the only reason I say that up front is, well, I haven't got a dog, I guess, but yeah, but actually, where do we stand if something went wrong? If the owner wasn't responsible and didn't pick up, etc. You mentioned that if one of us would then tell them, your dog has, but that means one of us is required to be there at that time. Where do we?
When we open and shut now anyway.
Well, open and shut, not necessarily all day. And where do we stand on liability if someone was to be bitten, for example? So, I mean, I personally wouldn't be in support of it right now, but I think the right thing to do would be, if it is a genuine request, that we defer it to the paddling pool group. And this is obviously my opinion, and other councillors can agree or disagree. But before it comes back to full council for ratification, it would need to go through, where do we stand on our insurance with that? What if something goes wrong? And the various elements of health and hazards. Yeah, that's my personal opinion. Councillor Jones?
Sorry, one of us there. What if the kids got in after? Do you know what I mean? And then you have got the.
Yeah. So yeah. So my recommendation then, as I said, is to fit paddling pool working group, and they need to explore the various elements I've just mentioned before it comes back to full council. Do you have a seconder for that? Any amendments? All those in favour? Anyone against? Yeah, I thought there would be. Okay, thank you. Agenda item 17 then, the Environment Wales Act 2016 Part 1, Section 6, the Biodiversity and Resilience of Ecosystems Duty. Please see attached. Councillor Sharp.
Mayor, I think it's a great document. It's almost sort of not a risk assessment, I think, but it's looking at all the different things and it breaks it all down. So I think it's a great document. Is it the first time we've had to do this? Because I don't recall seeing one of these before.
So we did it 3 years ago.
Yeah.
It should be, yeah.
Right, sorry,
Yeah.
my memory, I'm getting old now, so my memory's not as good as it used to be.
No comment. But has it been updated since then? Because the residence seems quite low for me, the population number.
It's 13,907 on the 2021 census.
2021, yeah, because I thought we were sitting about 16,000
No, it's
actually.
not.
Oh, right, it has dropped, is it? Oh, okay, interesting.
Also, one minor point, Mr. Mayor, cemetery land is the only parcel of land that town council own. Does that reflect we now have
2 parcels.
2 parcels of land.
Yeah, good point.
And the biodiversity, you've already been in there. You need to.
Councillor Jones?
I'm just wondering how we're able to identify what efficiency and what projects are we involved in the community?
I can answer.
Yeah, Councillor Gray?
There are cemetery along, the old cemetery, a new one. You have biodiversity in regular, or surveys, whether it's the fauna, flora, all sorts of mammals.
How is that project involved in the community?
When into the new one, when we do the boundary, we'll help.
It's really nice.
There are projects that will be coming, if they're just not ready yet, they're not at that stage.
Yeah. Primarily linked to the cemetery. Okay. Anything else, or someone want to move seats? Here we go. Do we have a seconder? All those in favour? Thank you very much. Agenda item 18A, planning applications. They're all recommend approval unless there's, oh, sorry, Councillor Bridges. Yeah.
However, I do want to do the discussion points in relation to application 25-010 refusal by PCC. It's on the information in the
Oh, so sorry, that's notifications. That's the next agenda item, Councillor Bridges. Sorry, just that's why I couldn't find it there myself. Yeah, so just on planning applications, they're all recommended approval. Councillor Bridges quite rightly says they're both for information only, so there's no real changes to be made. But just for ratification, are we happy to move receipt on planning applications? All those in favour? Thank you. And then 18B is plan notifications. So 25-0108 PA, which is the last one. Please continue.
I'm wondering where we stand in this period of time, because in relation to specifically that application, they always go support the applicant. I haven't spoken to them yet because I want and there is nothing wrong with that application writing. No disputes from any neighbours, and I believe through doing my own scrutiny recently, the job of a councillor is to hold council officers to scrutiny wherever possible. Now, I want to know as a town council that in the role of chair of the planning committee, where do we stand on that in showing support for that applicant on an application that we have previously supported and recommended for approval? There's no contentious issues from the public, nothing being raised. And it's quite clearly an issue with also the PCC. Now, by my understanding, that is our sole purpose to hold scrutiny to council officers. So we're more so, what's in higher form for the town, but nevertheless, I do believe through personal experience that it's a very lonely place to be when an applicant is getting refused. And I think that, personally speaking, my whole desire to do the chair position of the planning committee is to help people like that, to at least give them some form of support and show that we are not just brushing our hands with it. So I'm just curious to know if there are any precedent for this kind of council assisting applicants in any way, shape, or form of support, whether it be a written letter of support, so we still continue to support this application should we wish to appeal it with the relevant authorities. But I just don't like the idea that we are just going to just say, plan off and approve these minutes when I think we should be showing support as applicants and not able to need our help.
Mr Deputy Mayor.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, surely that would also depend on the applicant actually making a formal representation to our council. Say, I'm unhappy with this, will you support me in my appeal?
Well, that's the point of the but that doesn't happen because ultimately the appeal process is at county level. And it can be very difficult. Yeah, I will expand on that, but ultimately, well, I do believe that with the improvement where we have done in the past,
Inform us.
maybe do.
We
But I think it would improve, especially when we have recommended to lose on previous application. And then there is a review, at least we have that applicant in some way, shape or form. Now, you know, whether that be from the clerk, whether that be from councillors willing to do it, whether it be the chair of the planning committee, whether it needs to in future, but certainly to reach out to them, to at least make contact with them, that has to be there, you know, anything. It just doesn't settle me. And ultimately it's a case, that's why I wanted to do that particular chairmanship, and that's why I'm asking for guidance from the council before I did in any way reach out to that applicant. See where
I mean, before I open up, I mean, it's an interesting one actually, and I think the fact that we've recommended approval shows our support in the first place. I mean, I don't know the reasons for refusal. I haven't looked at this particular individual case, so you know there could be genuine reasons. I don't know, and it would be unwise for me to comment on the refusal specifics because I don't know what that is right now. And of course, I'm trying to remember the term, but as a council, we are one of the statutory consultees. There we are. Thank you. So we don't necessarily have a sway in the planning application, and therefore it's more for information. The same as, and I think off the top of my head, you know, the Welsh Water. Trying to think of the other people that would be involved in it. So who then respond or don't respond. So we wouldn't, despite us then potentially going to that individual and saying, you know, if you want our support, then it's there. That doesn't necessarily change anything if it went to an appeal panel, I believe. But you know, I'm happy to stand corrected. So there were a number of hands up then. So I don't know in which order. Councillor Gray's pointing at Councillor Sharp, so I'll go there first.
I mean, Mr. Mayor, I was going to echo exactly what you said, because I'm under the understanding that as a town council, we don't exactly have any power on granting applications, approval or disapproval. But what we are here to do is have a voice to put forward to PCC, whether we agree on something or not. But at the end of the day, the way I understand it is that it is down to PCC. We either grant or refuse the action planning permission, but we are just a voice and we can represent a person or a company or somebody in the constituency. But we don't have the power to grant any planning.
No, that's correct.
That's how I understand it.
Councillor Harteveld?
We have relations out to people. Our obligation is to reach out to us. Because I think that puts us in a bit of a grey area when you reached out to them regarding this issue. Why didn't we reach out to you regarding a completely different issue? I think we might be putting ourselves in a bit of a muddy water with it. But if someone reaches out to us, then absolutely, you know, we could, you know, discuss possible representation or even a voice. I just think that's taking on the mandate of reaching out to people is really a
Yeah, I just before I go to Councillor Jones, I think perhaps the only thing that sprung to my mind then, as you were saying, I mean, perhaps the thing that would be the right approach, whether it's from us, whether it's from the chair, the clerk, whoever, is perhaps signposting them to the local county councillor to support the appeal. And I think in this case, Hakin is Councillor Mike Soddard. Yeah. Councillor Jones?
Presumably they do give a reason for it.
They should do.
Written is over. It's not on public record as well.
Councillor Bridges?
have a you cannot speak about the world itself. Whether the so that, as everyone's correctly stated, it is for the applicants themselves to do that. However, I just wanted to phrase you as emphasize on that having a voice is true. The reality, say as an applicant who's been refused, it's very saddening when you do not get those people that are there to represent you, reach out and try and help you, especially when they have knowledge of said matter. The fact that we do have knowledge of said matter, and whether it's in a personal capacity that I do serve on behalf of town council, I would want to reach out to that person, make them aware of the correct abuse and the routes they could go down and help themselves, which nobody did need I refused. Ultimately, it's a case of, you know, if it's a case of that we're not allowed to reach out to our town council, that's consensus, that's fine. You know, there's nothing to stop you reaching out to that person in a personal capacity, being aware of it, but ultimately, I would rather show support as town council to applicants that certainly struggling with refusal of this nature, to let them at least know their correct channels to go to help themselves, which they may not be aware of from personal experience.
Is it? I'm going to put a question out there, maybe looking at Councillor Sinnott or Councillor Woodham in their county council perspectives, but in the rejection letter, does it then include, I say rejection, refusal letter, does it then include pathway to appeal? Okay. Mr. Sharp?
Yeah, I do agree with what Councillor Sim is saying, because I personally, I'm speaking personally here, have no idea what the procedures are. So I may be misinforming somebody, and I'd like to go around the table and sort of say how many people do actually know what you have to do, etc. And it'd be very unfair to ask the clerk. So I think that, you know, perhaps we could hear them and just simply say, I think they need to speak BCC. I think getting involved could be a bit heavy.
Councillor Gray?
Well, where I sit as a councillor, we all get these applications to look at individual cases, because they are individual cases, comes to a council chambers, and we make a decision, recommend approval or whatever. We are not the decision makers. It's that power is not in our hands, and we trust the powers that be to make that decision for us. So if we've recommended approval, that's the most I want to be able to do. Whatever grounds they say, well, no, or whatever, we've made our decision, and that's what we've decided as a group of councillors, and we put that forward. What happens after that is not in our hands, it's only in the powers to be hands, and it's not for us, I don't think, to question it either. Sorry, but
Mr. Bridges?
I'm reading the room, so you help me out, I can see this, that's fine, Bill, and get the control ready. However, I would like to have a lot of screening recently, to be honest with you, so it's kind of it. And it's interesting that the main purpose of a councillor is to, there's four main topics of a councillor. There are four main topics. First one is to represent the constituents that they serve. Second is to hold council officers to scrutiny and account on issues that may not be correct. So ultimately, having that trusting them to make the correct decision is not always, fortunately, the way that things operate, because they don't always make the right decision. However, I take on board what the town council said in relation to their position. Ultimately, I will draw my requests and I'll involve the town council. However, I do use something that as representatives application that certainly, as Councillor said, when there is certainly no labor disputes, in fact, and that they, you are here to represent those people of North Haven, but it's a shame that we, at the point of refusal, certainly when we've already recommended for approval, there's no glaring issue that we can't show any further support in some capacity as a town council. I feel that is saddening. However, I read the room correctly and therefore we can work that.
Councillor Hammett?
Local representatives said, I've got a problem with this, it's the way that it's being refused, especially if the town council have recommended approval. That's a whole different thing. Then I said, I can contact and find the applicant, and I would have no issue then with calling county council and saying, you know, we've got an issue here, this has been brought to my attention. Is there anything you could do? Have you recommended the appeal process? Have you talked the applicant through what they could do next and what their options are? I think that's representing a constituent. But I don't agree with going and reaching out. As I said, I think I agree with Councillor Hart about that. I think it could get quite muddy and quite dodgy. But if anybody came to me and said, I need your help with this, and I would have that, then of course, I'd definitely feel it was my job to represent at that point.
Okay, yeah, no, I don't disagree. Okay, I mean, so the request has been withdrawn. So with that in mind, the planning notifications then is for information. Can I have someone to move receipt, please? Yeah. Do we have a seconder? And all those in favour? Agenda item 19 then, summary of expenditure 19A, April 25 to June 25. Yeah. Oh, about the last thing. No, we've already moved on. Sorry. But the notification was removed and therefore we voted on it. That finished it. So summary of expenditure April 25 to June 25. Councillor Bridges.
The I'll get budget for planning was 2,300. And Our public convenience budget for next year is 8,330. Am I correct in assuming the reason we have taken on responsibility of convenience serving the panel?
Solely.
Is that not the agreement which happens to be now because of that, or just in general?
In general, I think it was the provision of the public convenience, but obviously it is linked as well to the paddling pool. We don't have a toilet there.
So when we voted to take the public convenience, not solely.
Not solely, no. Yes, for public use as well.
We were working Maverick public toilet hires. Exactly how much usage that public toilet is getting through the remainder of the year. Find out whether or not it's worth us paying back regularly or whether or not it's worth our hiring typically.
Yeah, you raised some valid points there, actually, Councillor Bridges, particularly when we first took on the public conveniences, as well as opening to the public. The RAF paddling pool was costing us significantly more than what we're currently paying, because obviously we've gone to a volunteer perspective, not employed staff. So, you know, the costs are certainly balanced the other way now compared to how they were. But as you rightly say, you know, that would be something that we would need to debate, particularly at precept, but prior to that, to look at stats, etc. Yeah.
So we budgeted for 39,490 for building maintenance. So we are chapel work to be done with the next year. We spent 30,000 pounds in maintenance to the is that to range them? I'm curious to know what that is for. We've redone them, so obviously we've got wide reasons. A lot of money for maintenance. So I'm curious.
He's on B, isn't he?
Are you on the next set, the April 24 to March 25? Yes. So, sorry, there's two bits of this. So the 19A is April 25 to June 25. So this current quarter. The next element is 19B, which is the last financial year's summary of expenditure. Yeah, sorry. So just before we go to that bit then, so 19A, April 25 to June 25, unless there's any further questions, can I have a move received, please? All those in favour? Thank you. And then 19B is April 24 to March 25. So that 39,000 is obviously any work that we've done in the last financial year, which does include the wall, the heating and electricity in the chapel.
Yeah.
The windows?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Any other questions on that summary of expenditure? Seconder. All those in favour? Thank you. Okay, agenda item 20. So just before I go into that, and it's entirely up to us as a council, but there is a HR matter within it. It's up to us whether we decide to go into private or not. Councillor Woodham.
I'd like to propose that we go into private session.
We haven't voted on it yet. So, okay. Do we have a seconder for going into private? Okay. So, Councillor Bridges. Yeah.
Fact is that we are proposing a recommendation that I would. Well, that's value, then have you- that kind of thing is just fine.
So that's an amendment that we don't go into public session. Do we have a seconder for that? No. Okay. Oh yeah, of course, it would either win or fall, wouldn't it? Yeah, apologies. Yeah. Okay, did you have a comment then, Councillor Sharp?
I was going to say that actually part of the question is to ask about wages, because we need to know how much the deputy clerk is. So I think it is important we go into private session, because that would be one of the questions that we need to know.
Okay, so
Salary.
if you're for private session, then you will vote for it. If you're against it, then you'll vote against it. You have no say or either, then you can abstain, of course. So all those in favour of private session? Okay, anyone against? So the vote is that we go into private session then. We do have a member of the public on Zoom and the member of the public here. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to ask the member of the public to leave the virtual room now. And thank you for joining us. Okay, so do I continue recording? Because that would then be live on the, I'd have to also stop recording, wouldn't I?